I'm Leo Walder for Kit Guru, and this very green PC here is the Polycomp i5 Aurora. While I'm yakking away, let me just start a benchmark running. This is Ashes of the Singularity, which is a DirectX 12 benchmark. Time for us to move on at Kit Guru and use some slightly more visually interesting software. So the PC doesn't look immediately familiar because it's got this vinyl wrap on it, and the case is actually one we have reviewed before. It's a Fractal Design Define R5. Now you don't have to have it in green. You can, if you choose, have it instead in red, or they have a sort of a flame type of thing going on, and they also offer blue. The vinyl wrap is actually, I think, free of charge, but changing the colour is certainly once you're paying your asking price, which is a penny under £1,000, changing to a different colour is free. So Aurora i5 Aurora, it's a Core i5 at the heart of the thing, which is a 6600K Skylake, and that's overclocked to 4.8 gigahertz. It's quite a simple overclock. I had a look in the BIOS. Basically, they've whacked up the core voltage a tad, changed one of the voltage setting, and increase the turbo speed to 4.8. Job done. On all 4 cores, by the by, not just cheating and giving it on 1 core. Backing that up, we have a Be Quiet Pure Rock air cooler, so no liquid cooler in the system. When you're speccing your Polycomp PC, you can basically change any component you like. They offer a whole array, as you'd expect, of cases, coolers. You can, for example, go to a Corsair H60 liquid cooler for another £29. The significant thing here being is any upgrade is going to take you past the £1,000 mark, and it's crystal clear that Polycomp has worked hard to keep the price below that psychological £1,000 while still delivering a gaming PC. So, Core i5 overclock 4.8 gigahertz, air cooler, Asus Z170 Pro gaming motherboard, which is a good solid motherboard, we like that one, 16 gig Corsair DDR4, 3200 megahertz, so fast DDR4 in dual channel, an Asus GTX 974 gigabyte, which is obviously significant, as you can see, hooning through Ashes of the Singularity here. GTX 970, GTX 960 on the desktop is marginal for gaming but works. GTX 970 is nice. GTX 980 is obviously very nice and costs a blooming fortune. If you want to upgrade your PC to have a GTX 980, it's going to cost you thick end of £150 or so, loads of money. Storage, we've got a 250 gigabyte Samsung 850 EVO SSD. 250 gig is a good size. That's enough to do good stuff. All the games I've installed on Steam on this PC are on the SSD. I haven't had to put any on the storage drive, which is a 1 terabyte Seagate hybrid drive. I personally think 1 terabyte is a bit on the small side, but again, any upgrade, and upgrading to a 2 terabyte drive isn't going to cost you a lot of money, but obviously it takes the price past the £1,000. And so, as I said, for Fractal Design Define R5, we'll have a look inside in a minute when this benchmark stops running. Power supply is an FSP 750 watt, which is far more than this PC requires because it sucks less than 300 watts at the wall socket. When it's under stress test conditions, 255 watts. 750 is a huge amount. It's an FSP 80 Plus silver rated power supply, which is obviously better than bronze, but in the great scheme of things is relatively far down the scale, actually. Perhaps I'm just being, gold to my mind is entry level, but again, if you want gold or platinum or titanium, you pay more for the privilege. And then it has got a Samsung DVD drive at the front, runs Windows 10, 3-year warranty. Okie dokie, that's finished. I'll just shut it down and then we'll have a look inside the thing. Perhaps the main feature of the Fractal Design Define R5 is the way it's been built for quiet, but with the option of adding ventilation if you want to change your cooling setup. So you have this stealth door on the front which hides the DVD drive, and then behind that we have the air filter, and we pull that out and we've got the front case fan. On the top we've got the I/O panel, USB 2, USB 3, headset jacks, power button, usual styly. The side panels come off. They're slightly different method for the 2 different sides. So on the back side, 2 thumb screws, and then it comes away once it clears the cables, swings out and away. Noise deadening material again, and that's the back side. And then the main side, you have a trigger on the panel. There are 2 thumb screws which are just for added security, and that's a hefty old thing, and again, sound deadening material. We have here one of their Moduvent panels, Fractal's Moduvent panels, so 4 screws and panel comes with it, but it's covered in the vinyl wrap. And it's a similar story on the top of the case. If you refer back to Kit Guru's review of this case, then you have a series of panels called Moduvent 1, 2, 3. You can kind of see the ridges in the vinyl, and you release the inner clips and they come away to open the top of the case if you're putting a liquid cooler in. So the options are shut down unless you want to start pulling the vinyl off, which I don't know what sort of mess that would make, and clearly that would be a bit of a labour. But if you choose to change from the Be Quiet air cooler to put a liquid cooler in, unless you're putting it in the rear of the case, if you want to put it in the top of the case, you've got some work on your hands. If you want to put it in the front, I imagine that would be doable, but obviously it's full of drive towers. Also, it's interesting to note, you get 8 of these drive bays, 2 1/4, 2.5, 3.5, but they're arranged in a 5 and a 3. Now, both the drives have been installed down the bottom in the 3, which means you can undo a few thumb screws, try saying that fast, and pull out the drive tower of 5 bays to open up the ventilation. There is actually no reason for this to be installed in the case, except of course you may wish to install some extra drives at some point, in which case you'd be spitting tax if it wasn't included. So Palicomp has included it. Logically, you're going to take it out first thing you do, opening up airflow, giving yourself a bit more space. In the event you want to install a bunch of extra drives, well, hey, you're good to go. There are also on the back of the motherboard tray 2 SSD sleds. So you have heaps of options for drives, masses and masses of options. Realistically, you're not likely to use them unless you're building some sort of wacky home server. So drives there, drive bays there, but realistically out they come. Then of course you can see the air just goes straight through past the Asus graphics card, which does have a cutesy bit of sort of white colour coding, which aligns with the white of the drive bays, and also the fans, and also the blanks at the rear, where the expansion slots are. I have to say, when I'm looking inside this case, it's obviously perfectly tidy. I mean, absolutely no problems at all with the build. I am looking at it going, there's a lot of space in there. This is one of those builds you think it could be micro ATX and it would do no harm whatsoever. On the other hand, plenty of scope for expansion. Question is, what sort of expansion or changes might you make at some point? You might add another GTX 970. Not really. I mean, the number of people running SLI 970s, I would say, is very few. But it's not impossible. Clearly the motherboard has heaps of options, good quality bit of hardware, good quality hardware throughout. But I'm looking at Be Quiet air cooler, and the fact is this is an overclocked Core i5, and that air cooler works perfectly well. The temps, when the thing was thrashed to an inch of its life, the GPU ran at 61, the CPU at 62, and that is Ada 64 type of unpleasantness. I was being completely unreasonable, and Core i5 just simply isn't massively hot. In Cinebench, which is a far more realistic test, 43 degrees. So I'm looking at the air cooler going, you're due an upgrade, but the temperatures do not say that. Unless, of course, you're whacking in a Core i7 at some point, in which case, different story. So you might look at that air cooler, as did I, and think, upgrade time? No, not necessary. A decent air cooler does a very fine job. So the build, absolutely fine. The black-white thing, fine. The vinyl wrap, I like because it's just different. As to whether you wish to buy a PC that sort of shouts the name of the maker across the front, that's a personal matter. But no problem there. One of the alternate colours perhaps nice. Obviously the green is because it's NVIDIA, in case you haven't twigged. But it does mean that were you to whack in a liquid cooler at the top, you're going to have to work a little bit harder than usual. Overall, entirely happy with the system. The fact they've built the thing quite blatantly just to beat the £1,000 price point is absolutely fine by me. There are certain points, £1,000 is a lot of money, £800 is less, but getting a gaming PC for £800 is very, very hard work. The thing about Core i5, vaguely interesting. When I was having a conversation with a, shall we say, renowned system builder quite recently, basically Core i7, it gives you that extra thing because you've got the hyperthreading going on, but 4 cores with hyperthreading is not, in the great scheme of things, generally a lot better than 4 cores. They were actually saying off the record to me that Core i3 is an entirely reasonable processor to consider. So you might go Core i5 Skylake, oh no, I want Core i7. You pay a lot extra for a Core i7. Core i5 is a good processor, and for a home PC, unless you're doing something massively processor intensive like video rendering, Core i5 is absolutely fine. And the temperatures you get, even with this air cooler, impressive stuff. Overall, Polycomp i5 Aurora, it works, it just sneaks around that phrase of mine, which is you can build the same PC yourself, it'll just cost you more money. Because of the vinyl wrap, unless you're going to work on the styling side of things, you probably won't build exactly the same PC. It'll be the same hardware, it won't look the same, which is a minor point. It's just so nice to see something that's slightly different, and also it's good to see a company that's pushing things just that little further than most others. So overall, a good PC, a solid gaming PC, facts, figures and all the rest of it on Kit Guru as per usual. I'm Leo Waldock and this is the Polycomp i5 Aurora